Just because you're renting doesn't mean you have to live in a boring white box. Here are 13 interior design mistakes most renters are making that are totally killing the vibe. But don't worry, I'm gonna show you how to fix them. Before I get into it though, I do wanna say a huge thank you to Built Rewards for sponsoring today's video, but I'll tell you more about them later on. Interior design mistake number 1 is that you are leaving in the light bulbs that your landlord gave you. Now, lots of people who specialize in renter-friendly stuff, they're like, switch out this light fixture, switch out your chandelier. I totally and completely understand not wanting to do that. That's laborious, that's expensive. I'm not saying you need to switch out all the boob lights. If you want to, I'm gonna support you in doing that. Get an electrician, switch out that chandelier. But if you don't want to do that, at least I want you to change out those light bulbs. 99% of the times, your landlord is buying the cheapest light bulb available to them, okay? Dollar Tree sells light bulbs. And they're going for the really, really bright serial killer white. That is not what we want. We want to have different types of lighting for different parts of the home. In the kitchen, we might have more of that bright white light so that we can see the task we're doing. Same thing maybe in like an office or in a bathroom. But in the other part of the bathroom, the part where we don't need to see the fine task, that's when we're going to have a little bit of warmer light. We want warmer light in our living room, in our dining room, especially in our bedroom, right? Where we want to relax, where we want to wind down. So we want to switch out the types of light bulbs. Now, if you do not want to figure out which type of lighting every single room needs before you go shopping, totally fair. Just invest in smart light bulbs, which are light bulbs that can do all the different colors of the rainbows, all the different brightnesses. So you can move the light bulbs all throughout your home. They make smart light bulbs that are E26, all the different types of shapes and sizes so that you can do them in all the different types of lights. So if you have track lighting, if you have boob lights, if you just have table lamps, you can put smart light bulbs in, and I'm telling you, they're totally going to transform the vibe of your space. This is also going to help with your cord management, which is something that I also see people get wrong a lot in rentals. Cord management can make or break a design. The most beautifully styled space can be ruined by poor cord management. So if you use smart light bulbs, you only have to do that cord management once because you don't have to keep pulling the cords out to turn the light on and off. It can just stay tugged back wherever you put it, and you can turn everything on using a remote or using an app for your phone, or you can even put it on a schedule. This is going to be a major way to upgrade your space. This is also going to be useful because a lot of rentals only have one light. You want to have table lamps, floor lamps, LED light strips. Make sure that they're all smart. So again, you only have to do the cable management once, you only have to install them once, and you're totally going to elevate the vibe of your rental. Next, we got to talk a little bit about peel and stick wallpaper. So peel and stick wallpaper is amazing. We'll talk in depth about it, but first I want to talk about peel and stick tile. I see people all the time go with the basic, boring, grimy tile that the landlord has put in there. Okay, they probably went with subway tile, which there's nothing wrong with that. I like subway tile, but they went with it because it's cheap. You can totally peel and stick wallpaper or peel and stick tile over existing tile. It's one of the best substances to peel and stick over because you're not going to ruin it. If you are able to chip a piece of tile with your peel and stick tile, that tile is not made of tile, it's made out of paper, honey, and you have bigger problems than the flaking tile. But it is so easy to use peel and stick over existing tile. I think smart tiles are really great. You can also use a peel and stick wallpaper and just use like a shiny wallpaper, especially if you're doing something like this in your kitchen so that you can wipe it down if there's grease or something like that. Now, I'm not recommending doing this in like a wet room or a bathroom, but in your kitchen, if there's a little bit of tile, maybe they just like went tile crazy in your living room or dining room or something like that, or on your kitchen island, this is going to be a great way to jazz it up. Do some peel and stick tile, do some peel and stick wallpaper over that existing tile. You can also use peel and stick on appliances. So if you're finding appliances, you have appliances that are just so ugly, they're so dated, you can't make them work for you, you can add peel and stick over them. They do have like paintable peel and stick, so you can put peel and stick on something and then maybe get some rub and buff to make it look like metal or something like that. You can add peel and stick over appliances. I wouldn't put it on any appliance that gets super hot, obviously, because it's going to peel off, but on appliances that don't get super hot, you can add peel and stick. Just do a little test to make sure that it's really easy to get off. But pro tip, if you want to remove peel and stick without damaging something underneath it, 1, you can add painter's tape underneath to make it really easy to peel off, and 2, you can use a blow dryer if you own one, unlike myself, to help get that off. It's a great way to remove stickers, and it's also a great way to remove a peel and stick. Now, the number 1 mistake I'm seeing people make in their rentals is not using Built Rewards, and I do want to say thanks again to Built Rewards for sponsoring today's video. PSA to anyone who rents, earning points on your rent is now a reality when you pay your rent through Built. You don't even have to check in with your landlord before you can start earning points that you can use towards flights, hotel stays, fitness classes, and even your next rent payment. If you're feeling intrigued, let me tell you more. Joining Built is free. Built is a loyalty program that lets you earn points on rent and lets you redeem those points towards flights, hotel stays, fitness classes, and even your next rent payment. They've even been consistently ranked the highest value point currency by the Points Guy and bank rate. And again, you can transfer your Bilt points to your favorite airlines and hotels. There are over 500 airlines and 700,000 hotels and properties that you can redeem your Bilt points towards. So if you're not earning points on rent, my question is, what are you waiting for? Start earning points right now when you sign up by using the link in my description box or the QR code on screen. And make sure to use my URL so that they know I sent you. The next interior design mistake has to do with peel and stick wallpaper, but you're not getting creative with peel and stick wallpaper. Peel and stick wallpaper doesn't have to throw up all over your home simply because it is a rental, okay? You can have peel and stick wallpaper, but you don't have to use it just as like a huge accent wall. You can use it to cover up existing furniture. Maybe you can't afford a new dresser, or maybe there's like an ugly built-in that you want to like jazz up. Use peel and stick wallpaper. You can use peel and stick wallpaper as trim. So maybe you have like some peeling trim, or you want to frame out a window because the landlord gave the window a landlord special. Use peel and stick wallpaper. Use it on things besides the wall. That's really the point I'm trying to get at here, because it's going to be a lot cheaper than buying enough peel and stick wallpaper to cover an entire wall. Peel and stick wallpaper is also great for getting really, really large art. Large art can be super expensive, and a lot of times in rentals, people don't want to buy art that's super heavy, and obviously large art becomes really heavy because it's big. Peel and stick wallpaper is the ultimate hack because you can put it on like a few poster boards that you like tape together, or a really cheap sheet of plywood, or whatever. You can really DIY anything. Get something super lightweight, and then you can use command strips or hooks or something like that to adhere that peel and stick wallpaper to the wall, and then you can frame it out with fake trim, or you don't have to frame it out, or you can get cheap wood from the Dollar Tree. You created a massive piece of artwork affordably that's lightweight for your rental, and it was done entirely with peel and stick. Peel and stick can be a mural. It doesn't always have to be something super abstract or super boring. They have full murals that you can just like peel and stick. I know I'm just saying the same thing over and over again, but it can be really impactful in your rental. And speaking of command strips, something people get wrong all the time with rentals is the curtain. So people think, oh, I can only use those like Command brand like curtain rod holders, and those are great if you're doing lightweight curtains, or if you only need a few curtains. If you need a bunch of curtains, if you don't want all of that massive gapping, you're gonna have to get rid of those. Instead, you wanna use a tension rod. A tension rod is the same thing you likely use in your shower. You can use it out in your home as well. It just uses tension to hold things up. Then you can use maybe one of those Command brand peel and stick things as a center brace to help give you support in your rental. But this way you're going to be able to have more sturdy curtains, maybe blackout curtains, velvet curtains. It's just going to allow you to do more when it comes to curtains, instead of just having those really sad two like sheer curtains blowing in the wind that aren't actually obscuring anything at all. That being said, you gotta make sure you get a tension rod that is wide enough for your wall. So don't just measure the size of the window, also measure the size of the wall. They also do have peel and stick curtain tracks that I have tried. They do work, but again, you're gonna need a blow dryer to remove them, so just keep that in mind. Now, if you're loving all these peel and stick options and you're like, but what happens if I accidentally chip the paint? Don't worry, I've got a solution for you. It is called the chip and run to the hardware store, okay? Not a very creative name, but basically you're gonna chip off that piece of paint that is chipped off anyway, and you're gonna take it to the hardware store, and they're going to color match, and therefore you're going to be able to fix any mistakes in your paint. This is a skill you need whether you own or whether you rent. So it's very, very important to know how to do this. They're gonna match the paint. You can get a sample size, which is gonna cost you between $3 and $5, really a negligible price, and it's going to allow you to do so much more with your rental. You deserve to live there, you deserve to craft a space that reflects you, so you need to know the ways to fix things back to the way that the landlord gave them to you. The next interior design mistake I see in rentals time and time again is leaning into that wall-to-wall carpet. Wall-to-wall carpet is great. I think most people should have them in their bedrooms because it gives a level of plushness underneath your feet. No one wants to wake up and put their feet on an ice cold floor. That being said, most wall-to-wall carpets are ugly and they harbor so much bacteria and filth because I don't think your landlords are really cleaning them. And that's totally okay, because how often do you get on the hands and knees and clean your wall-to-wall carpet in your home? I'll wait. Probably not that often, okay? So we definitely want to layer a rug on top of that wall-to-wall carpet. One, it's going to help anchor all of your furniture because wall-to-wall carpet is really just like a floor. It's an expanse of something. There's nothing help to break up each different section and kind of sequester your furniture and help it be a unit. So adding that rug is going to help anchor your furniture, or adding multiple rugs is going to help anchor your furniture, especially if it is an open concept. When you're choosing that rug though, you want to make sure that it's very distinct in color, texture, and pattern from from that wall-to-wall carpet. I'm not saying you have to have a rainbow rug, but you do want to have a rug that doesn't look identical to the wall-to-wall carpet, because then it would be defeating the purpose. Now, depending upon your design style, there are different ways to select a rug, but I will generally say you want to stick to the 60-30-10 rule, and that's basically the rule that 60% of your things are going to be one color, 30% are going to be other, and 10% are going to be something else. But generally speaking, when you're choosing a rug, you either want it to be a color that appears in all the decor and all of the furniture that you have in your space, or you want it to be a color that's going to help brighten up the floor, so an ivory, a cream, a light gray, or something like that. The next design mistake I see time and time again in rentals is people crowding the windowsill. So windowsills can be really, really useful because they provide an extra shelf. They provide a free shelf. So I understand why it happens. People will use the window ledges for plants. They will use them for books, as storage and stuff like that. And I think you should definitely use them for storage. Obviously, it's a really, really practical option, but we don't want to overcrowd those windows with stuff, because then you're blocking all of that really beautiful, gorgeous natural light. So if you do want to use your window area for storage, I say maybe add some shelving behind those curtains, right? We talked about curtains earlier. We're going to hang those curtains. We can add shelves on either side of the window and obscure them with those curtains so that we have no idea there's shelving back there, and they're only exposed when we move the curtains, giving us some closed open storage or some concealed storage that's really, really going to be useful, but still doesn't sacrifice that beautiful natural lighting. If this is an option for you, at least consider using hooks or something like that to hang plants in your window, so that you can actually use like the sides of the window frame to hang your plants, as opposed to hanging them dead in the center, just again so that we can see some of that natural light. Now let's talk more about lighting. Again, we already talked about smart lighting, but something else I definitely want you to be using in your rental is spotlighting. Again, rentals don't always have a ton of light that we're looking for, and of course we're not going to hardwire something, so I want you to add spotlights wherever you can. So behind your major furniture pieces, in your planters, in anything that can be illuminated, I want you to illuminate it, because it's going to help direct your attention. It's going to help really soften the place and make it very warm and inviting. So spotlight everything that you can. There are plug-in ones, there are USB ones, there are battery operated ones, but add spotlights to really help set the tone, and again, break up the different areas, and you can use different lighting in different spaces, as I said earlier. I also think that people use really small gallery walls in rentals because they're afraid to damage the walls, and rightfully so. You don't want to damage the wall, but they have command strips that can hold up to 20 pounds. So you can get heavier artwork and you can put it all on a wall. You know, concentrating a few small pieces is not really that much different than, you know, putting up a few big pieces. The big piece is going to fill the space better. It's going to make it feel better designed. It is going to anchor the wall better, and it's probably going to be in scale better with the rest of the things in your home. You can still have a gallery wall, but try your best to go with some larger pieces. I gave you a hack earlier for making really affordable, lightweight artwork. There are also tons of brands that do sell lightweight frames. Just look for lightweight frames and make sure you're getting frames that are large enough to accommodate the command strip. I find that people often get really, really narrow frames, and the command strip is kind of sticking off, it's kind of wonky, and that's how things ended up falling, and people aren't following the rules, therefore blaming kind of the command strip when it really is kind of user error. I also find that if you have one big piece, it's going to do more for your space than a bunch of tiny pieces. So you actually might get a better bang for your buck going for a large lightweight piece than a bunch of tiny pieces. And in the long run, if you have one big piece, you're only going to have to remove 4 command strips as opposed to the 10 or 20 command strips that you have from all of those smaller ones. I also find, and I know I'm really hammering in this point, but when we have these gallery walls, it's really hard to get a gallery wall perfectly level. And this is especially the case when we're dealing with a command strip, because if it's slightly off, what are you going to do? Peel the command strip off the wall? No, they're really expensive and they're very difficult to reuse. So you want to make sure you're getting things perfectly level. If you're doing a gallery wall and a rental, I want you to make a template with butcher paper or computer paper or something like that. Make a template, tape it on the wall, do all of the measurements to make sure that you're hanging art in the right place. You're putting the command strips in the right place so that you measure twice but hang once, so that you don't have that level issue, because there's nothing worse than a gallery wall that's kind of off kilter. Now, this is the big one. I think everyone should have their interior design style, and they should craft a place that really resonates with them and sparks joy for them. That being said, you need to consider like what the space looks like. I live in a very industrial home. If I decided I wanted the space to be farmhouse, which at one point I did think that, the design kind of clashes with the architecture. So you need to take that into consideration consideration. You cannot have a brutalist home in your cottage in the middle of the woods, right? You just need to kind of maybe tweak your design style to kind of like blend your design style and the design style of the apartment to make them blend well together. There's nothing worse than a space where someone's like clearly fighting against like the bones of the space, trying to make it something that it's not. And this one is really, really easy to do, so I don't blame you if you've fallen into this one, but I see people so often stick to the layout of the last tenant or the layout that they have like in the sample floor plan. The sample floor plan is just a way for them to sell you the apartment. Whatever the last tenant did, unless they were like the best interior designer in the world, they just kind of did whatever. You don't have to use the bedroom for the bedroom. You don't have to use the living room for the living room. You need to think about your needs and kind of restructure the home to fit your needs. You can also remember that a lot of apartments are open concept, and an open concept is all of what you make it. You can break it up with curtains, with lighting, with plants, with rugs. It doesn't have to be this is the dining room and this is the living room. You can really blend the barriers between the rooms and keep the space open for interpretation. Something I like to do is move my living room to where my dining room is supposed to be, because I occupy my living room more than my dining room. So it just makes more sense for me to walk into that as opposed to my dining room. So be open to expanding beyond what the last person was doing, because just because the last person did it doesn't mean it's the right thing for you to do. And the final interior design mistake I see people make in rentals all the time is overflowing the entryway. So a lot of rentals don't have entryways, and that can be super frustrating because we need somewhere to put our coats, our keys, our purses, things like that. And people will spill this into the living room, into the dining room, into the kitchen. And sometimes we have to do that. But a lot of the times people forget about the space behind the door. There's so much space behind the door for hooks, for pegs, for a mirror. Use that space. There's nothing going on behind there anywhere. Use that space. You don't have to do 50 million IKEA hacks to make an entryway and then you've only got like 1 foot left of walking space. Use the space behind the door. We could put shoe storage under the sofa. We can put shoe storage in your bedroom. We can have a big decorative vase that has a faux plant in it and we've got shoes all around it, right? We can find somewhere to put the shoes. But if we're really just looking for a place for like coats and a mirror, we have the area behind the door. We have the area behind the door. Use that space, don't waste it. We don't need to put a painting there that no one's ever gonna see. Put things there you don't want anybody to see, but that you also don't want to regret when you're walking out the door every single day. They even have mirrors with pegs on them, which is really the best of both worlds. Hang that behind the door, and then you've got a whole rest of the house to decorate and use that doesn't have the overflow from your entryway materials. And the reality of the situation is you don't need 15 coats in your entryway unless there are 15 people living in your home. You need 1 coat, maybe 2. Okay, that's the facts of the matter. That's what we have closets for. That's what we have vacuum seal bags for. Don't let your entire wardrobe spill over into the entryway. No one should be doing that, even if they are a gazillionaire and they have the biggest mansion in the world. The entryway is for things that we use every single day. If you're not using that item every single day, we can put it in storage and move on. And now you know the 13 most common mistakes people are making in their rentals and how to avoid them. Which of these mistakes were you making and how are you gonna fix them after today's video? If you wanna give Built a try and start earning points right now, sign up using the link in my description box or the QR code on screen. And be sure to use my URL so that they know I sent you. Until next time, have a beautiful day.